What's going on, my fellow film fanatics, and welcome back to Top 10 Beyond the Screen. I'm your host, Johnny Rogers, and if you happen to be new here, we cover all things television, movies, and anything beyond the screen. So hit that subscribe button to join our notification squad, and leave us a comment down below with what actor you think didn't deserve to win an Oscar. Also, make sure you stay all the way until the end of this video because that's where we feature and answer some of your comments. Now, without any further delay, let's get into today's list of the top 10 actors who lost everything, part 2. In at number 10, Randy Quaid.
The latest on Randy Quaid. The Oscar-nominated actor and his wife in jail this morning after being arrested at the Canadian border in Vermont. They are charged with running away from vandalism charges in California 5 years ago.
No, Randy Quaid is not preparing for some big role as the next Santa Claus. That is simply what happens when you go on the run from law enforcement for 5 years. Randy and his wife insisted that they were being hunted down by a group called the Hollywood Star Whackers, which, side note, if you're looking to start a band, there's your new name. He has repeatedly told news outlets that this group may have killed Heath Ledger and is trying to sabotage them as well. Although that wasn't the only thing that caused him to flee the United States. Randy and his wife tried to claim refugee status in Canada after declaring bankruptcy. However, the couple was arrested in 2009 after being accused of defrauding an inn in Santa Barbara. A warrant was also put out for their arrest after they skipped a few court appearances for charges of breaking into the home that they once owned. Apparently, they were squatting in the guest house without the new owner's permission. In at number 9, Natasha Lyonne. Her breakthrough into acting came at the age of 7 years old when Natasha became a regular on the show Pee-wee's Playhouse. Following that, in her late teens, Lyonne was booking acting jobs at an enormous pace. Her biggest role, though, was when she booked the movie American Pie. For a little while after that, though, Natasha was in a horrible place. First there was the drunk driving arrest, then as the roles and interest started to fade away, reports were coming out that the star was now homeless. Additionally, she had been hospitalized with some very serious health issues that included hepatitis C, a heart infection, a collapsed lung, and methadone treatment, something that is typically only used for people who are addicted to heroin. Thankfully, she has made a complete 180 with new roles in shows like Orange is the New Black, and Natasha seems to be making a big comeback. But for a while, wasn't looking so great. In at number 8, Brett Butler. Brett is an American actress and stand-up comedian that is mostly known for her role in the comedy series Grace Under Fire. Before the show started, Butler had already been 7 years sober, but once the big money started rolling in, she relapsed and lost everything.
Afraid of alcohol. I was taking pain pills and doing cocaine, and I'm a Jedi apparently because I could take enormous amounts of it.
How much Vicodin?
After her show was cancelled, she moved from LA to a farm in Georgia where she resided with 15 pets. It's a lot of animals. But then when the money started to run out, she ultimately ended up in a homeless shelter. In at number 7, Margot Kidder. First things first, rest in peace Margot Kidder. She was the first famous Lois Lane starring in the early Christopher Reeve Superman films. According to Daily Finance, Margot is battling schizophrenia as well as manic depression.
She was vulnerable, suffering from mental illness, as she told Diane Sawyer.
I could have gotten better years and years ago, I think, if had I the courage to face that something was wrong.
As you saw, Margot said she knew something was wrong but repeatedly refused help and treatment. Her career started to fall apart because of this, and before long she was sleeping in cardboard boxes in whatever LA backyard that she could find. A woman who found Margot in her backyard said that upon approaching Kidder, she was missing her front teeth and her hair had been sort of hacked off. And when asked what she was doing there, Margot apparently told the Glendale resident, "I may not look like it, but I'm Margot Kidder." Yikes. In at number 6, Danny Bonaduce. Danny was a child star with his big role coming on the show The Partridge Family. At the time, he was 11 years old and suddenly he was now starring in a hit television series. At the end of the show though, Danny had descended into drug abuse and homelessness. During an episode of his radio show in 1997, the actor admitted that for a while he was living in his car behind the Chinese theater, while at the same time he would have people approaching him for autographs, like while he was sleeping in his car. Earlier in 1990, he was arrested for attempting to buy cocaine in Florida, and then the next year he was arrested again on charges of robbing and beating a transvestite prostitute in Arizona.
You get what you deserve if you break the law, and if I'm pointing my finger at myself this time, they turned on the news really loud about me being in jail.
In at number 5, David Cassidy.
With you anymore, Dad. I don't know who you are now. That broke my heart. I can't even tell you the effect it had on me.
Again, I have to say this, rest in peace to David Cassidy. Danny isn't the only member of the Partridge Family cast that seemingly lost it all once the show ended. David Cassidy, who played Keith Partridge, had a promising career not only as an actor but as a musician as well. The 70s heartthrob had sold over 25 million records in the height of his career, but in 2015 had to file for bankruptcy. With a history of DUIs, 3 divorces, and various health problems, David had to put his mansion up for auction just to finance his final divorce. The really sad thing with this case is that a year after his death, a leaked audio recording came out where you can hear David admitting to lying about having dementia and going on to say that his health issues were a result of alcohol addiction. In at number 4, Aaron Carter. Despite being known for his music career, Aaron Carter also did a fair bit of acting early on in his career. The teen pop star though had quickly squandered the $100 million fortune that he had built after his parents had mismanaged his money. Because of this, he was put in a terrible situation when he turned 18. When he became of legal age, he was hit with a bevy of taxes owed and had to file for Chapter 7 bankruptcy after being over $100,000 in debt and owing somewhere in the ballpark of $4 million in back taxes. In at number 3, Willie Ayers. I genuinely feel awful for the lives that these child stars had to go through, and Willie is no different. The former Gunsmoke star opened up during an interview in 2017 where he said that a series of poor choices mixed with drug abuse is what led to him sleeping on the streets. He said, "At one point I went from eating at the White House to sleeping in the bushes and brought myself back again." An episode of Oprah's Where Are They Now showed us that after battling addiction and homelessness, he got a job as a cruise ship director.
The guests recognize me all the time. The guests recognize me about 60 to 70% of the time. And it's really nice when they do. It's a great way to be able to welcome everyone on board.
At the peak of his career on the show 8 is Enough, Willie was making a little over $1 million per year. Then suddenly, there was no job, no bank account, no wife, no child, and just like that, it all went away. Thankfully, he looks like he's doing much better now working for the cruise ships. In at number 2, Corey Haim. Sadly, again, and this is the last time that I have to do this, rest in peace to Corey Haim. Corey was born in Toronto, Ontario and broke into the world of acting in 1984 as a child in the film Moving In. His breakthrough role would come later in 1987 when he played a major role in the Lost Boys film. However, 10 years after that film, he was filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection after citing that he owed over $200,000 in state and federal taxes. When he passed away in 2010 from pneumonia, he was living with his mother in an Oakwood apartment building. He was broke and his career was very destitute, to the point where he was even trying to sell a tooth and some of his hair on eBay just for the extra cash. It really makes you, that's the only way I can explain it. It just makes you go, ugh. Last but not least, in our number 1 spot, Pamela Anderson. When you hear the name Pamela Anderson, your next thought is usually Baywatch. That show skyrocketed her career and became one of the most watched TV shows of all time, largely because of Pam Anderson. It was watched by over 1 billion people around the world every single week, but much like the Partridge Family though, all good things come to an end, and so did Baywatch. Once that attention started to disappear, so did her asking power for more money on future projects. As the money dried up, Anderson was forced to live in a trailer park with her 2 sons because she couldn't keep up the payments on the multiple homes that she had purchased. Thanks to issues with the IRS in 2012, 2 tax liens were made against her Malibu home which forbid her from selling it. The first lien stated that she owed nearly $260,000 in unpaid taxes from 2011, and the second lien from the state of California cited that she owed them over $110,000 for the same year. Not only that, but in 2009, she made the California top 500 delinquent taxpayers list, owing the IRS $1.7 million in unpaid taxes. Now with that, let's check out some of your comments from the video titled Top 10 Most Annoying TV Characters of All Time. Brooklyn Tiger says, "You should include Alan Harper from 2.5 Men. Yes, I should have included him on that one. I've actually met him, he's a great dude, but I definitely need to put him in a part 2 of that list. Thank you for your recommendation. Emma Dingwall says, "I definitely agree on Janice. I will never forget her saying, 'Oh my god, great video.' Had to include Janice in that. She is the pinnacle of annoying TV characters. Appreciate your comment." Michael Ross says, "Give us part 2, Johnny Rogers." Michael's ready for part 2. Don't forget to comment all the other annoying TV characters that you wanted to see in that list. I'll look back at them and go through the comments and see about adding some of them into a part 2, if we make it that far. JJ Tandari says, "Keep up the good work and always remember to stay baked." Thank you, JJ, and stay greasy. Natalie Bouchard says, "I agree with all of them except Sheldon. I think Jim Parsons is amazing in that role. He was amazing in that role, but you have to admit the character, a little bit annoying. That's all I'm saying." And that has been the top 10 actors who lost everything part 2. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, then show us some love here by tapping that like and subscribe button. Also, make sure you give us a follow on Instagram for tons of behind the scenes content. Links for that will be in the description below. And while you're there, why don't you leave us a comment with your thoughts on this list. Plus, for more videos like this one and to get me to stop talking, just tap that playlist when it comes up on your screen. From beyond the screen, my name is Johnny Rogers saying until next time, stay classy. No, Randy Quaid is not preparing for some big role as the next Santa Claus. Santa Claus? Additionally, she had been hospitalized with some very serious health issues, and that. In at number 6, Danny Bonaduce. Because of this, he was put in a terrible situation when he 10 years after that, he was filing for chapter. However, 10 years after that, though, he was chapter 11.